Welcome back, Wood Creek. This is Ryan Brown with the second report in a special series based on our exclusive interview with Placer County District Attorney Morgan Geyer. This past April, Wood Creek High School's Every 15 Minutes program explored the dangers and consequences associated with drinking and driving. During our coverage, we also learned about something known as social host liability. In this interview, you will learn more about what the implications are to parents who host or allow a party with alcohol to occur at their home. You'll also learn about a life-saving immunity law that enables teens to call for emergency services without fear or repercussions for underage drinking.
There is criminal liability, and I often hear it referred to as the safe space to be able to drink, and that is a very much a misnomer. There is criminal liability for furnishing or providing alcohol to minors. There is criminal liability if you purchase alcohol for minors and they later then either harm themselves or someone else or kill someone or themselves, and that can be you can be punished criminally for it. Those are misdemeanor violations. You can face jail time. You can face large monetary fines as well, not to mention the lifelong consequences that someone would have to live with if they provided alcohol to a minor that ultimately went and hurt or killed someone. That would be anyone. That would be your children's friends. It would be anyone within the house that's a minor that you provide access or allow to consume alcohol within your home. There is also civil liability. So criminal liability means you might get in trouble with the law and go to jail or pay big fines. Civil liability means you can get sued. And civil liability attaches if you provide an opportunity or a place for minors to consume alcohol and later they leave, or even at the home they hurt or kill someone else or themselves. That civil liability can be attached to you. You can be considered the cause of whatever that damage is done by the minor based on your allowing the alcohol to be consumed at your house. And that civil liability means your insurance policies may not cover it, which means you're going to be on the hook personally for that civil liability, which means your house, your car, anything you own can be then forced to pay a judgment in that terrible circumstance. Shelby was a teenager in the Redding area in California who went over to a friend's house. The family of the friend that she was there with, the mom and dad were home, they were drinking, as was the teenagers. Shelby went over to visit with another friend, and Shelby decided she was going to drink quite a bit. In fact, she wanted to do 15 shots of alcohol that night. And she did. At one point, the parents went to bed. They were all sort of casually drinking. The parents went to bed. The kids were left alone downstairs with basically a full bar, and Shelby drank basically herself to death. She started to pass out and vomit in the bathroom. The friends didn't really know what to do with her, and she died during the night in the bathroom. People were there. They could have helped. Her friend knew she was struggling and was too afraid to call 911, which led to not only liability that attaches to parents who host these events, but also an immunity law making sure kids don't get in trouble for calling 911 when their friends get in trouble. And that's an equally important component to some of the consequences of what happens here. Anytime there are legal consequences that are imposed on people for doing things, there's a concern that if there's an emergency situation, someone won't react properly with what they know they need to do because they're afraid of getting in trouble. And that's particularly the case with young adults or teenagers. So the law came about to say, look, the number one priority for teenagers who are engaged in things that could be illegal or wrong or that they're going to get in trouble for, they need to make the right decision when someone is in trouble. So as long as a teenager or a minor who is in the presence of someone who is drinking and struggling, as long as they call 911, they stay with that person, they remain on the scene, and they cooperate with the medical and law enforcement personnel. They cannot be prosecuted criminally for whatever it was they were doing at the time involving drinking of alcohol. Now that doesn't apply to getting in the car and driving. You don't get immunity from getting behind the wheel when you're drunk, and nothing's going to help you there. But if someone is struggling medically because of having too much alcohol or drugs, the first thing you need to do is call 911, and you won't get in trouble for doing that. There are, in addition to criminal liability, which you can go to jail for, civil liability, getting sued, there can be professional ramifications as well. So if you are in a profession that requires licensing or a certification process, you can have that license revoked, you could have your application to get one denied, you could be suspended. So if you're in professions like let's say you're a contractor or a realtor or a lawyer or a doctor or any profession that requires some sort of professional oversight, those could be jeopardized by engaging in what is potentially criminal activity. So whether you're ultimately convicted or not, the licensing authority can take consequences against you for you providing that opportunity for minors to either get or consume alcohol, and something bad happens from there. The same legal analysis would apply. If you are providing illegal substances or controlled substances to minors and they then harm themselves or someone else, that liability is going to attach to them in much the same way. In many respects, particularly when it comes to narcotics like opioids and fentanyl, the consequences can be even more severe because it is a much different kind of substance than even alcohol, and we are seeing it used and abused and laced in so many different things that the consequences could even be more severe than even in the alcohol context. But yes, criminal liability, civil liability, all of those same consequences that apply in the alcohol realm apply the exact same way when it comes to controlled substances as well. The important lesson is, if there are older adults or older teenagers in the house, that may be an opportunity for teenagers to get alcohol, the parents need to be aware of that too and have those critical conversations in the household about the dangers of allowing this to happen. If those siblings are over 18, they could be prosecuted as adults for the same things that we just talked about. If they were minors, they could still get in trouble in the juvenile system, and they would also have the benefit of the protection should something bad happen to call 911. I always usually like to reinforce that if someone is having a medical issue, the number one thing to do is get that person help and worry about the consequences afterward. Fortunately, in Placer County, we haven't seen any criminal prosecutions in the last few years related to sort of social host or parental responsibility for providing alcohol to families, and that's a good thing. I always like to be able to say when we haven't had prosecutions in areas. There have been a few nationwide with sort of mixed results because it's an interesting legal argument. However, we are in an era right now, particularly with our fentanyl crisis, where we are seeing too many young people dying in preventable ways. And so prosecutors and lawmakers are getting more aggressive in holding other people responsible for allowing young adults to suffer harm. So I would not be surprised to see aggressive prosecution of cases should that happen, partly because of programs like Every 15 Minutes. We have so many awareness campaigns going on right now that on the back end we're going to have some pretty serious accountability efforts should people provide these opportunities for minors to drink and they ultimately harm someone.
Yeah.
If there are other questions or concerns about what happens in the legal process or what happens, resources, our website at the DA's office, the One Pill Can Kill Placer.com website, both have a variety of resources available to answer those questions. Our office and all of the people involved in the fentanyl campaign are always willing to come out and answer questions or talk at events or do whatever we can to spread the message. So I would encourage anyone who is interested to learn more about the issue to check out those resources and call on us as much as you need so that we can help.
Good Morning Wood Creek wants to extend a special thanks to Placer County District Attorney Morgan Geyer for taking the time to educate us about these important laws. This is Ryan Brown, wishing each of you a safe and fun school year, Wood Creek.